Hi everyone. Today is 14th of October. We'll start with BTC as usual. This is at 4 hour, and so after 4 hour, we'll look into the higher level. Okay, so what do we see here? First of all, the most obvious pattern is the zigzag pattern, where we could see this low, higher low, and this is also higher low. So for now, this is a support and looks good to me. What is happening? It's funny. Well, I don't know why these drawings are weird. I'm not able to move them. Ah, okay. So this looks good. So this support was added after identifying this important level. Now, from a structure point of view, this is higher high as you could look at it. When it was here, I had added this eye indicating that we need to watch out and remember this was immediate required level. So this much of attempt was obvious. Because this is a resistance zone, so some kind of reaction was obvious. Um, what we had to see is when it reacts, how deep it goes. So this was the first rejection, as you could see, after and then another try at a lower time frame. You would see multiple trials, if and then not quite able to break above, and then went down. But this the depth is also not deep enough because it didn't break this one. So if you look at the progress is still positive. Remember, this was the most important level from where it bounced. This was second most important because this bounce could have failed if it would have gone down and come back, returned back to this level, but it didn't. Instead, it continued to move up and touch the level where we wanted it to touch, and it did. So that's positive. After that, if, as I said, it retraced but not deep enough, and if you look at now, it is not going trying to go down but up. So this is consolidation, because this consolidation happened here as well. It's happening here as well. And especially yesterday when I looked at it, this attempt was pretty good. Breaking about 27K. It didn't last long for it was for short term, but it was good. So this is positive attempt, indicating that it wants to go up and also looking good to me. So even if you go a little low at even minute level, this is low and then it is making progress. It is not trying to put pressure on this one. So this was more like a retest is at this level, very low level, low time frame, retest and trying to go up. So if you look at it, so this is making progress, as I said, at a larger, still the time frame is 4 hour, but you can see that the wave is this is a wave where it is making progress like this, where if you look at this one, this is also making similar progress and trying to move up. So the yellow path that we have, I had to just adjust a bit where I had to move a little on the right hand side. Apart from that, there is no major change. So you know that this week particularly was very much eventful, especially there was inflation data from the US. Inflation data for September was out and they were slightly up, and also the bond yields were pumping hard. We have been tracking that, right? So not easy for Bitcoin, but what Bitcoin has done is amazingly well. So some people are frustrated that why after touching 28K it has gone down. And so to me, not going down below 26K is an achievement. So it depends on how you see it. So this is my point of view, that not going down below 26K is a big deal, because the way the macroeconomics data, because the PCE data, the purchasing, the index on the purchaser side was also a little higher. CPI was also a little higher, and the yields are still strong. We had seen last week, and they bounced a lot, especially on Friday. So I think on Thursday, we'll look into that as well. Anyways, later on, but they were very strong. So in that situation, BTC held up, which was amazing. Right. So 4 hour, you can clearly see it is making progress, not something that I would worry in terms of any kind of downside risk. No way, nothing at this moment. When you look at 1 day, I don't think 1 day is anything different. Remember, I had added this green line and posted for your benefit, because sometimes, we have to see where it might. So this was the initial support, and then this was when this was broken. I thought maybe where it might get some bounce, and then realized that probably this is the area. So when before touching this, I had indicated that it is likely to react. When it touches, I mean, you cannot say that this is the, level where it can recover fully. That's not how the TA works. It's not about me. This is not how TA works. What we do is we try to find out a level where it will get support, means the defense, right, when it is going down. And when it touches, first of all, then we see that when it touches, does it stop there? Does it pause there? If it pauses, then we say, okay, whatever I found looks good. And then if it bounces the way it is bouncing, then you get that confidence that the support was accurate, right? That's how it is. Similarly, when it is about resistance, you identify the resistance when it approaches, when it is nearby that zone, right? You expect some reaction, and if you see some kind of, like, this is like rejection, then you confirm that this is really a strong resistance, because it was rejected at this on this in month of August as well, and here as well in this month as well. So you are now this is confirmed that if this is broken above, then it is going to change in a positive manner, right? So it is below, it doesn't mean it's negative, because it is not somewhere here. So right now it is still making progress, as I explained, on 4 hours, and bouncing from this downtrend line, green line, is also very much positive. And this downtrend line we call a retest, or you can say throwback in a pure technical term. This was a breakout and a throwback to this breakout line. Remember, because of time gap, is lower. This could have happened here as well. It didn't happen, but it happened a little later. So that's the thing. Sometimes a breakout happens, it gets rejected and touches. It didn't touch all the way. Then there was a second attempt after this one, and then touches. So it is not defined that it touches after first rejection. Here, as you could see, this was a second rejection, and then it touched, but it worked out well. If you notice, it happened in Solana as well, SOL coin, right? It touched a little later, but it worked out pretty well. Anyway, so this kind of behavior is very common, and that's why I had immediately updated you all. And now this became 26550 becomes a reference point, becomes a support. And this zone becomes the watch out zone, because we would not like it to see in this zone for a long time. So even if it goes down, it is still about this, we can say, but we had to. So watch out. What is watch out zone? Watch out zone is where I would not try to put money, because I'm supposed to watch for the next move. And as far as the risk management is concerned, each support is where the decision has to be taken, as I mentioned, as a best practice. It's not about telling you what to do, not at all. It is about each support is a defense, and if the defense is broken, one can reduce by 5%, 10%, depends on the plan, depends on the risk appetite. But that's how the planning has to be done. As a best practice is not to exit fully and below support, and not to enter fully is a very common practice in trading. So each support, when the support is broken, reduction is the way. And then critical support is broken, like from critical in terms of your management point of view, like, and because it depends on when you enter. So if you enter where you are making a big loss, then your exit level, 100% exit, could be little higher than someone who has entered lower. So for an example, if you have entered at 24K, 25K, then if your goal is not to incur any loss, then that person may get out if this support is broken, which is near 25K. But if somebody had entered at 17K, probably will not get out fully. However, that person might get out 50%, exit 50% of the position. So you see the difference between two strategies. It's simply driven by individual's plan. The point I always make is everybody must know what is my 20% reduction, at what I'm going to, where I'm going to reduce by X percentage. 20% is just an example. Point is where I'm going to reduce by X percentage, where I'm going to reduce by Y percentage, and where I'm going to exit fully. Exit can be in 2 step, 3 step, whatever. But it should not be one step, because there's a lot of fees that you pay, and sometimes that level is important, but not necessarily there is no recovery. So it could recover after breaking below that support. So the good idea is to reduce in chunk. And the same thing applies when it is making progress on the upside. The good idea is to increase in chunk. I'm talking about swing trading in practice. So that way, then you're never in shock or surprise. Because when I was like new to trading, I used to do in and out fully. Sometimes I used to put stop loss at a proper support. I would be exiting. Let's say I'm going offline and the price is near support, I would add a stop loss, stop order. And then what I would see is I'm stopped out when I get up in the morning. I would see I'm stopped out, and the price would have bounced after stopping me out. And that's like so silly. And that, I think this is the case with many people. I'm sure that they would have put a stop, because stop is required. But the lesson that I learned, that never put 100% in the for the one particular stop. So because then if that kind of false breakdown happens, I would not be 100% out. Because in crypto, unlike stock usually move slower. In crypto, the movement is so much that it can recover so much that you sometimes miss the opportunity, and then later FOMO, and that's the worst thing. You are stopped out next day in the morning, let's say, and the price is way higher, and then you try to chase that price, and then you FOMO and try to buy at a high price, and then the worst thing could happen, that after that bounce was not high enough and then falls again you stopped out and so much. So that's the worst thing. It used to happen with me. So when you enter and when you exit in 2-3 chance, you can avoid this kind of situation. So each support can be taken as point of reduction, and you decide how much to reduce. And as I said, depends on your goal. So some of the best practices I repeat every few weeks, sometime as a good reminder, and sometimes some people have joined recently also, they get benefit of it. So but yeah, stop is needed all the way, all the times stop is needed, but single stop is not a good idea. Anyways, so coming back to TA, one day looks awesome. You may not be agreeing with the awesome word. Why? As I said, the macroeconomics things are not well. I mean, look at the war is going on now. The second war, first war is already happening. Second war is happening. Not only that, the trade war is happening between the U.S. and the China, and so it's the it is. You might be thinking why it is important. It is important because if the U.S.-China relationship is not so good, then the supply side pressure comes in. And this, when the supply side pressure comes in, the pressure on inflation comes in because the cheaper goods become expensive. And then if the of course when the inflation goes up, then the central bank tries to raise interest rate, though it is on the supply side where the interest rate do not help because they are meant for the demand side. However, they try to reduce demand to compensate some kind of supply side, and that's the worst thing because then you are basically killing this demand, and also you are not able to control the inflation much because the killing the demand doesn't change if the pressure is from the supply side. So that's the challenge, and that's why any kind of war, whether this kind of brutal war, life-threatening war or trade war, any kind of war is disturbing and not good for the market. So that's why I said it. Whatever BTC is doing is so amazing. First of all, people have been talking about new low like 10K, 12K. It hasn't happened, and currently there is no sign of it. And now it is not in 25K. So it's not thrilling. I'm not saying it's amazing in terms of making money or whatever. I'm not saying that, but not going down is a big deal. So yeah, sometimes yeah, we need to be patient and see. So definitely, I'm not talking about profit and loss. I'm talking in terms of trend. So the trend, the recovery attempt hasn't been broken, and even after reaching 25K, it is able to survive, and we can see that it's holding up. So at this moment, it may not be thrilling, as I said, but at the same time, it is not threatening as well, right? Despite of all the challenges I mentioned. It's not easy, not at all easy. So it's doing amazingly well from that point of view. Let's look at higher time frame now on a weekly. This is so if you look at it, this is a larger W that I had depicted with the orange line. Now we can see a smaller W in making. Let me draw quickly for your visualization, and never sometimes I click the wrong ones. Yeah. So this is a smaller W, not, you see, like this. I know this is a little messy. Maybe I'll remove this line. So what happened is now angle of this one also change because of this delay. Angle is changed, but it's fundamentally, so this is a pair, you can say parent pattern, where this pattern fails only if price goes below this line 25K. Then only this pattern, the bigger W fails, as you could imagine. But now we can see fractal means there's another, this is a low and this is retest. Now we don't want this to be here, to be honest, because that will make that will be difficult, real difficult one, because then it will become really weak in my point of view. So breaking below 26K is not a good idea. Right now it's fine because it's still about or near 27K, roughly 27K. Yeah. So this is not a concern. So I think come next week, if we see this kind of a move, then that would be wonderful, right? So I think we have to wait how the next week goes. So this week was not good from a price action point of view, and we know a lot of negative factors, macroeconomic point of view. But what is positive is it didn't go all the way down. So that's a very positive. So it is still within this candle, as you could see, right? So it is this candle is still encapsulating last 2 weeks of price action. So that's why you can say engulfing from a technical term point of view. So that's why it's still positive, right? So this is a pattern I see. What other pattern? I think this is important pattern, and this is even a larger pattern, right? This is little deviation, but yeah. So if it recovers, then we would, so this trajectory also changes. As you could see, so we have to adjust the angle of the wave, mean angle. Otherwise, it's not much angle, because this, if this shoots up from here, it could really go high faster and then go up. So it is not like this, not necessarily, because here if it accelerates, then this is still a valid trajectory. So if you look at it, this is a pattern, and then there is another pattern within a pattern, and then we zoom out, we have larger pattern where this is a downtrend, and this is uptrend in making, where this dotted line that you see is a potential path, right? And this particular orange dotted line is indicating the point of rejection. This was point of rejection. It's a point of rejection. So I'm just making that as an important condition. So this zone is a hot zone. Of course, this is a very hot zone from a protection point of view, from a defense point of view. This is very hot, because if this is broken, then the Bitcoin will be extremely weakened. Remember, though we have secondary support near 23K, but we would not like to see this structure broken down, because if this structure broken down, it is not desirable, I would say. We'll see how it goes. So, but we would not like to see it. So this is a hotspot. But let's say if it progress and continues to make progress on the upside, then the next hotspot is near 32K, 33K, 34K range. If that is also broken, then the real fun starts, in my point of view, because this line was added for purpose, because this at angle, so this gives us a good range, 34K. So you can say 31K to, let's say 30K to 34K is another important zone that it has to clear up, right? So from a big picture point of view, this 25K level is important, and then this up to 34K is super important, right, for it to make progress. If 34K is broken, then it is much easier, because then there is no major resistance until it reaches to 48K or 42K, 48K region. I didn't stop here. Maybe I can stop here and then show, because there is likely to be major reaction here. But yeah, I think this is more realistic. You see, so now you have understanding of how the big picture is being played here. Of course, if you can zoom out, we can also talk about a bigger picture, but this magical line comes in play, where we can say if this is broken, then this 23K range is important. And if this is broken, then I think we'll talk about that later if that happens, because then it's because there's so many possibilities, but we have to think about the probability and probability of like what is likely to be the next move. We have to focus, and right now we don't have to think about what if it breaks below 23K. So we'll see. We don't have to talk about that. So as you could see, we can always talk about larger patterns, right? Like this one, this big trend line, and here also we can talk about this and this, but the focus should be near term. See, no matter what you do, somebody would talk, oh, the Bitcoin will reach to 150K, someone say 300K, whatever. No, there is nothing right or wrong. Yeah. There's nothing right or somebody might say the 1 million and whatever crazy move. Somebody might say 10K, somebody might say 6K. everybody express in different ways. And what we do is, we can say, okay, now this is the projection and larger term. I stop myself and try to be more accurate, because to be honest, things are so dynamic that talking about what is going to happen in 2024 uh, is impossible to predict from accuracy point of view. Because if you look at, there are only two directions, north and south, right? It's so easy. If you take the side of north, then you can say, oh, this much. But that's not how it works, because but the mind wants some number. That's the challenge. And mind wants big numbers, basically. Mind doesn't want, if I say 34K, you're not happy. The mind is not happy. It's not about you. Usually mind is not happy. But people forget that the 34K is far more important than 40K. Why? Because if 30 to 34K is broken, achieving 40K is not a big deal. They have to understand. And they miss this point. In order to get 40K, 34K is important. And so 40K is not important. Point is, if 34K is broken above 40K is doable, probability wise. So even I talk about 34K, implicitly, indirectly, we are talking about reaching to 40K plus 50K kind of range we are talking about, because it's like a stair. It's not like a ramp. Ramp means a smooth upside move, right? It's like a step. So the thing is like your staircase, right? What happens in the staircase? Our stairs are evenly, the height is even, right? Whatever inches, but it's even. Here, the stairs with different height, you have to imagine. So if this is the, let's say, first step, this is second step, right? And the third is the third 34K. So you see, this height, this is different, this height is different, this is your first step, let's say this is second, and the third is little narrower. So what you're seeing is the height of the step in this staircase is different. It's not equal as we see in our house. So that's why you have to understand what is the height of each step. So if you take one step, if you're successfully able to cross one step, you know that you're going to be on the next step. See, the point is there is jump. So the probability point of view, if 34K is broken, there is a jump of 40K, 50K jump. It's like that. So that's the thing people don't understand, that why the resistance are important and closing above resistance is important. Because if they are able to close that above resistance, especially on a weekly level, then the next level is achievable. I'm not saying certain. There's nothing called certain, but probability wise, you increase the probability. That's why 40K is not important, 34K is important. You see? And similarly, if the 25K is broken, it is not, then the 23K is probable. It's not about 24K, it's about 23K. If 23K is also broken, it's not about 21K or 20K, then it is much deeper, and so on. So the point is, each zone is very important, because if that zone is broken on the up or down, wherever, there is a jump. And TA can find out how big that jump could be. You see here, this is, let's say, a leg, and this is consolidation. So this is a first downside move, this is second downside move, and this is a third. So if you look at from the very top to the very recent bottom, there were mainly three jumps on the downside. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. You see the height, I mean depth in this case was different. This was the deepest, and this was shallow comparatively, and even the smallest one, right? So it's not even, as you could see, but it is like a stair and step that I was talking about. So you put, let's say you put a box here, Yeah, you probably will visualize it more better in a better way. And then I add a path. Then you can visualize what I'm talking about. Yeah, you see this one like this, and then this. This is how it is. So I'll make it a little bolder and probably white color to go along with this one. You see now? And of course, this is was and then smaller box, very tiny one, step I would say, like this. You see, so this is you now you can visualize. You see, you're someone. Um, I'll put an angry face going down. You know, person is going down, down like this. So similarly, you can put boxes here. You can put bigger box here. You see, then you're climbing up. I hope this kind of depiction help you visualize, because when you look at the wave you don't see that thing, but when I put the box and this kind of a thing, you can easily see what is happening. Yeah, I hope this view will help you. I just added to make it easier for you to understand. A TA just see that without drawing. Yeah, so this is similar thing. So you have to understand that this is consolidation. And if this is broken about 34K, why the probability of reaching 40K or 50K range is high? Yeah, significant. So there is always it. So there it hops, it jumps, and the jump depends on the mathematical calculation we do, right? Based on pattern measurements, there are different techniques, and that's how we figure it out. What is the next level? So that's why you have to understand there is always some support and resistance in between, but what is important is the that's what I highlight. And because now you will understand that in between, anything in between is not so important. Whether it touches here or this is not important. When you understand the big picture, it is not important. This is not important. This is not important. Anything in between is not important from big picture point of view. What is important is this zone and this zone. Then you get a range, right? I'm talking about those who wants to understand the swing, those who wants to understand the trend. These, this is how one has to think or visualize or understand, because anything in between is a lot of noise, and what you're seeing is noise. It is so annoying because this noise has been going on since April month. If when I say W, basically I'm talking about consolidation. If you want to visualize, you put a box here. Actually, this is what is the box. And if you make this box opaque, this is how it looks like. In fact, this is what is going on in inside. If you look at inside, what is going on? It is nothing. A ball is like bouncing off. The ball had hit this ceiling, then this floor, again the ceiling, then the floor, and then you see the ball is now just bouncing off upside and downside within this confined area. This is how you should see for clarity. Now, when you see this kind of picture, you don't try to judge each and every day. So the whole idea of TA and this kind of view is to make trading or understanding easier, because there's so many people get worried with some bounds. So I would not say this is thrilling. Consolidation is never thrilling. See, when it was here, this was huge consolidation. Remember, right? When it was Here, this was also long. This was also long. This was also long. This is even longer. A big one, very long one, like this one, right? And so on. And you would see in past, there are always phases like this. This was also long one. This was the most ugliest one. This was the most ugliest one, like from June all the way to November. But but probably, I think this is the worst one. This is the worst one. April to November, almost October. So this is the worst one because it's long, not just long, but the height was also like uh, equal. Like this bounce were equal. If you compare this one, just for understanding, here we could one can figure out that this was a height, then down, but this height was not enough. What we see recently is the height was here as if it's going to break out. So that's why this was easier. When it goes down, you can say this is like, this is like spiraling. And then this is very, very easy to figure out that this is the boundary and this is your boundary. This was much easier and this was a breakdown. One will get out here. You see, but point is, this was super, super, super boring. And if you think from a big picture point of course, this is a big picture point of view where the whole entire thing was a triangle. Huge, huge one. You see, this is also consolidation, by the way. Why? Because this is this is a floor. This is a floor. You can see that this was a breakdown. So this was a classic descending triangle, a bearish pattern, which was being formed here. Yeah, right. So this was downtrend, but in a consolidation manner where you can have another descending one like this one. You can always draw like this. This was a child, this was a child pattern like this one. This was a parent one. This was a child, and so much. Now it is easier, but when you are new and it's not easy to figure it out, all this. Anyway, so the point is, there are always phases where you see the consolidation phase, and consolidation phase is never easy. It requires patience. And you see, this is like a big one. And as I said, this bounce was so good that everybody was so optimistic. But then this bounce disappointed everyone. But you should see that what it's trying to do. It's trying to go up. And again, then when you see this kind of a candle, definitely there's a disappointment. So I would say, see, the price is not in our hand. Understanding is in our hand. Okay. If we understand well, we can handle the situation. But if we don't understand, then we are driven by the markets each and every move, and it's not easy. As I said, it's people go crazy, and then what happens? People get pessimistic for no reason. They start assuming that this is super boring and it is going to go down. They lose hope and all. And as a TA, there's not a question of hope. There's no hope in TA. There are only levels, to be honest. The hope is only in the personal life where we hope for the good and all. Here, there's no hope. There's no need, I'm saying. You can always hope being a human, of course. But the hope doesn't help. That's what I'm saying. If you're very positive, does it change? No, nothing changed. Maybe your mind, you will feel better that if you are hopeful, maybe the mind is good. But I'll say the hope is not a good idea. Understanding is a good idea, because if it goes down, hope can destroy you. Maybe the hope will help you, that okay, if you're hopeful that it will go up, so it's like a placebo. you it's not a treatment, it's a placebo. It's just a, the hope is always placebo. So it's not reality. Basically, the reality is this is consolidation, and the hope is will help you for time being. So if it goes, then it works out well. But if it goes down, then the hope has equally negative effect because you are hoping for something good and doesn't happen. Not just in trading, in life as well. I'm not trying to advise anyone and trying to be, you know, psychologist or any kind of counselor. But my experience is hope is only good when the ultimate outcome is positive. But if the ultimate outcome is negative, that hope bites back. It has a negative impact. So try to be practical or rational. I think that works in both the condition. When you are practical, when you understand, if it goes up, you are happy. When it goes down, then you're not happy, I know, but you're prepared. That's the difference. So that's why I personally don't hope. So there is no word called optimism and pessimism in my work, in my dictionary when I do trading. In fact, in my personal life as well, there is nothing called optimism, pessimism. What makes sense? What makes sense? It's the same thing. Probably I try to do the same in trading what I do in the real life. And that's why my trading experience is also much better because emotionally that gives me stability. Otherwise, the hope and all those kind of emotion, any kind of emotion, is not advisable or good for trading. Because in trading, I believe the mind should be like still water, not like river or flowing water. It should be like calm, cool lake, still water, because the stillness provides you that kind of edge where you could plan rationally, and that increases the probability of winning, in my opinion and experience. So point is, it, one has to cultivate that mindset, and that I think that TA means not person. Technical analysis can offer that because it offers the levels, ranges. So if you trust technical analysis, it's not, I'm not saying trust me. What I'm saying, whatever makes sense to you, right? You might be referring some other sources. Well, but the point is, whatever works for you, right? If you build around the key levels, then the life is easier. Then there is no scope of emotion because then you are rule driven. So the trading should be rule driven. Whether you take my input and someone else's input, your own input, whatever you do, you should have a rule book for your own, and the rules should be executed when as per the situation, as per the plan, right? So that's how sometimes people have rules, but they don't execute. It is very real. They decide that I'll get out, let's say, at certain level. When they reach to that level, they are not able to press the sell button. Why? Sometimes they're in loss. If they're in loss, they're not able to sell. So I said this is very difficult for some people, because closing the position in loss is very difficult for people, but they don't understand that you have to take hard decisions sometimes. And similarly, when it is going up, they are not able to book profit. They think the things are always good. And so many people regret that I should have booked when it was that and that, I forgot. And now it is this much, I lost my profit and so on. And I couldn't book. That kind of regret. You see the regret on both the side. They're not able to sell when it is required to sell. They're not able to book profit when they are supposed to book profit and so on. Why? Because they think that always in positive manner. They think that everything will be positive all the times, rather than thinking from level point of view. So that is my experience based on interaction that I have done with various people over the years, and also my own experience. Right. So the hope and positive nature is just into fooling ourselves. Basically, it's just placebo. Uh, the the good traders follow certain levels if they're following TA. If you're a fundamental analyst, you may follow those rules. Whether you're FA or TA, doesn't matter. Point is, there must be rules, in my opinion. So whatever rules make sense to you, right? There must be rule. There must not be any emotion. Emotions are killers. So that's my message to everyone. Okay, so on weekly, as you could see, I think these points are very important. I have to reiterate, especially during the tough time. I don't say have patience. I don't say have hope. Things will be all right. This is really bullshit in my point of view. Okay, one has to be rational all the times, practical. Okay, it's not about feeling good. Okay, it's good only when you're treating small child. Probably that's also not good, but sometimes it's okay. For grown-ups it doesn't make sense. So that's how I see. Some people expect that I would say it will be good and this is a tough time, we have to be, this is like, this is not, everybody is grown up. You don't need that kind of counseling. They're not a patient where you go to psychologist and say this is a tough time, it will be past. And no, I think we have to get out of all this nonsense. We have to just say what is the critical level for me as a trader. If the critical level is breached, I'm going to do that. If it goes up, then there is opportunity, I'm going to do this. So there has to be rule. There should not be anyone saying, oh dear, this is a tough time, it will pass. And that's bullshit in my point of view. Anyways, so coming back to TA stuff, so Bitcoin, I think pretty much I covered everything. There's nothing much to add than what I said. Best practice is very important that I reiterated. Let's look at some reference data, starting with, let's say, 10-year yields, because it was crazy last week. It was crazy, but look at how weekly ended. And it respected the resistance. So this resistance is confirmed. And remember, resistance is confirmed, but resistance is not point of reversal unless it breaches the support. Now you know it, right? So when it reacts or retraces, it is half done. The other half is when it has to break the support, and it has to, unless it breaks this support, this is still in the game. Remember, whether it comes to this level and then bounces back, or comes down all the way and bounces back, we would like it to break, to see, below this. Below this is amazing, and below this is will put this thing, this creature, because this is a deadly creature. Let me tell you, macro level, this is a deadly creature. It actually started up, the uprising was from here, and it is so strong, going so strong. And believe me or not, this is the only thing that one, I think, particularly personally, I'm focusing the most. Because if this breaches 5% or 6%, then the market will jitter, shake up. It will shake up everything, not just crypto, stock market. Everything will be shaken up in my point of view. And this could really go up high. I think we have covered. If you haven't seen my video, you can refer back my video. I think we last week. I don't remember when, but I think gone through the higher time frame at a quarterly level. But you can look at it. This this is strong at quarterly, this is looking so very strong at monthly, and this is looking very strong on weekly. So all the high time frame, it is looking so strong that it has to go down and break certain level, then only this creature will die. But if this creature doesn't die and continue to go up, then this is like a dinosaur. It will not let other to live peacefully, right? So it is good to see that it is retracing. And again, though it is very strong, going ahead of the time, from a scenario point of view, we have to think about a scenario, but we have to always focus, like 80-90% focus has to be on the present. 20%, let's say, we may focus on the future. This is my approach, because the current is always the key. The present has the key. And if the present is telling us that it is right now going down, then we have to stick with that. And when it goes up, then we will say, okay, now, it's a time to rethink. So right now, it's not our hope again. It is about the reality. The reality is this. The reality is telling that it is retracing. So come next week, if it retraces further, then that's good news. If it retraces further and breaks below, that's amazing news, and so on. So you see, it is always about the present, tracking for the present, and then think, and the scenarios are always there, right? So that's why 10 years is super important. This is like a grandparent for everything. Why? Because all the money, the majority of the money is in here. Also, this drives the interest rate in all the sectors. So this is, and the whole economy is credit driven. 90% plus money, what we call money, is credit money, not the cash. Cash is illusion. It's credit, right? Everybody has asset and credit if you look at it. And most of the people have more credit, and the country has more credit, like the US has more credit than the GDP. That means more liability than the asset. Very simple. If you ask yourself, how much, what is the structure? If you put all your asset like house, cash, everything in one side, and then credit, you ask yourself, do you have more credit or asset? If you have more credit, then you can say that you are out of balance. Very simple. 101 is fine. But if the credit is higher than asset, then that's not good, because that means you're borrowing from the future. Very simple uh, economics. So similarly, state level or country level, it's like that, right? So many countries have higher debt. So so when the interest rate goes up, you have to pay more to the interest and so on. Without going into detail, point is, higher interest rate is not in favor of anything. That's why this is our grandparents, the big boss, whatever name you want to give, and you would like this to go down, not up, basically. So this is the real macro factor, or the real thing. I would say this is the thing that one has to keep an eye. Let's look at DXY now. So it's the DXY bounced, and it happens sometime. It tries to break above. So first it got rejected from the resistance, which was good news. This was a bad bounce from our market point of view. The good bounce for the currency, but the bad bounce. Why it is bad? Because this is so strong bounce. However, again, like hope, again, assumption or pessimism that it is going to break above is also wrong. Is it broken? Answer is no. Until it is broken, it is not broken. That's why no matter how good it looks like, it is not broken. That's why it's not out of control. I mean, it is still in favor of crypto in a way. If it closes above, then you can say then there is pressure on, there will be pressure on BTC for sure, without any doubt. It is obvious. So since it's not broken, there is no assumption to be made, right? And technically it tries to recover very normal behavior. Like for example, when it tried to come down, it always tried to come back, return back. You see, in fact, in a bigger manner, like this big spike, but then it went down and so on. So it doesn't go down like it, like you see this kind of a shooting star kind of a pattern. It not necessarily continue to go down like this. There can be an effort. There can be multiple effort, not just one, and then goes down, right? So that's why concluding at this on either side that it is going to crash or it is going to go up is totally wrong idea. This is a watch out level where we had to monitor as a trader or a TA. We had to monitor what it's going to do. If it goes and closes below this, then that's a good news. If it closes above, then that's a bad news, and so on. So right now it is near top, so it's wait and watch. And one has to develop that mindset. It's not about positive and negative. Sometimes it's in balance, or I would say no state, no polarities, gray area. You may say gray area. From gray, it may goes go towards the black shade or the white shade. So when so the gray area is always near support and resistance. Remember, when you talk about technical analysis, it's always like that. So when it is in gray area, not try to be extreme on the positive, negative side. Try to be neutral and open. Basically, when I say neutral means open. I'm not saying they see human mind is always on one side, negative or positive. It's very hard unless you're trained. Very hard for you to be neutral, no matter what I say. You in life as well. You always say this person is good, this person is bad. This event is good, this event is bad. We have polarities. Always we are on the side because mind doesn't like neutral state. It wants to go on the positive or negative. You look at it, anything that you do, and that's the same thing happens in trading as well. You're always on one side, right? So the point is, try to find a way that there is a third side, and then that side is no side. And then you decide, depends on where it weighs more. If you could achieve that, probably you will wonder that you'll tell me then the difference it makes in your life and trading. I'm not focusing in your life, but point is it's same everywhere. But in trading, it will make a huge difference. So whenever it is near support and near resistance, try to be open, try to neutralize everything and say, okay, let me see. So that's called watch out. Watch out level is nothing but try to be open and accept what happens on that level without any shock. Because if you are biased, it is very hard to accept. It is very, and not, you will accept it, but it takes time because the polarity changes. So if you're extremely positive, becoming, becoming on the negative side takes time. If you are in the middle, it is easier. And similarly, so when you are extreme ends, the transition takes time. That's why if you look at it, most the community or the crypto community is extremely euphoric. When the Bitcoin was 64K, they were talking about 100K, and the TA, I was saying the top. You have seen it being on the channel, and if you are with me for a long time, you have seen it. It's not about me. Any good TA, any TA, any TA who is reasonably good would be different. That's the beauty. The crowd is always late because the crowd reacts late, and there is a time because there's a lag. It's like moving averages. The moving averages has lag. It's like that. The crowd is like moving averages. Right now, crowd is panicking. Why? Because it touched 25K. That's why they're so pessimistic, right? But the TAs are not, because they see differently. The way I explained, that's the difference. So anyway, we'll see. We have to watch out for sure. Let's look at dominance. Dominance is good to see this kind of movement. It's indicating that the alts are getting stronger. That's a good sign because this was bad. This is a sign. Again, this is nothing major. As you can see, this is nothing major happen. Major is only if it comes down to this level, 48%, somewhere in this range. Then it's a really good one for the alts or other than Bitcoin. So, but it's good to see this kind of a thing because then other coins will flourish, and that's always good. Right? But as I explained last week, if the Bitcoin is strong, Bitcoin is my favorite. If the Bitcoin dominance is not so good, then might be some other coin is my favorite. It's like that. Some people think that the Bitcoin is not for holding or trading or something, whatever. They think that's not the right thing. If the Bitcoin is doing better than other coin, why not Bitcoin? Because what the mentality, I think, most of the people think that money is made only with the alts, because the alt move faster and so on. That's a mentality. That's not right all the times. When the Bitcoin dominance is very high and rising, that means Bitcoin is doing better, not all the alts. But as I said last week, then you look at the BTC pair. BTC pair is also doing well, then that coin is doing well. Otherwise, it's not. Then the BTC makes sense, which I covered last week, so I won't repeat it. So and Nasdaq, let's look at Nasdaq. Nasdaq is fine, holding up. You see, so this is not happening at this moment. Only if it goes down like this. So probably this is the. I'm not trying to do TA here. It's just common sense. So this is looking nice. I don't need to do anything. So far, so good, right? So that's what I would say. So I think so in this half, I think we have looked at BTC at a lower time frame, a higher time frame. We looked at the patterns, we looked at the stair, if visualization, which was very important for you to understand. We also learned that consolidation phase is always challenging, right? Because it plays with emotions. Then I shared my point of view, why the emotion have no place, why it is not good, why hope is hopeless. I think that's a statement I would like to repeat often. Hope is hopeless in trading, and probably in whether you like it or not, or accept it or not, hope is hopeless in real life as well. The pragmatic approach makes sense rationally, if you could think. That's always helpful in my point of view. Anyways, especially in trading, emotions are always your enemy. Anyway, so we have seen a lot of and we covered a lot of things, and also all the reference data that are important. We have gone through them, and at this moment, what I would conclude that, of course, this is the consolidation phase is still going on in Bitcoin, as you could see, and it is still here, and we would like it to see around 30K. If it can reach 30K, then it will try for 34K, and then if it try cross above 34K, and so on. So these are like stepping stones, and so far, so good. Boring, yes. Frustrating, yes, but not bad. Not bad. With that note, I'll end this session, and then we'll look into swing coins.